So I am Gina Ramsey. I'm the owner of a company called Pink Dog Digital. We are a Baltimore-based digital marketing company. And today we are talking about SEO and GEO. I will let my team introduce themselves and dive into the content, and we'll go from there. So Coral, not Gina Ramsey.
Hi, despite what my name says right now, I am Coral Norman. I was signed into Gina Ramsey Zoom this morning to do some settings on the webinar and apparently forgot to sign back into my own. So I will be second Gina today, but and actually Coral, I'm the director of digital here. I wear a lot of hats, do a lot on the project management side for website development, as well as some of the project management for SEO and GEO, and just like keeping my feet dipped in all things digital. So I'll hand it over to Cory.
All right. Well, I'm Cory Wasielczyk, and I'm the digital media strategist at Pink Dog, and I work with SEO, GEO, PPC, content, a little bit of everything, and I am trying to become the resident AI expert. So trying to learn everything I can to help you guys with getting ranked in AI.
Give yourself more credit. You are the resident expert.
Perfect.
All right. I will let you guys kick this thing off, and I will ask questions where appropriate. Again, people in the room, if you would like to ask questions, throw it in the chat, and I will be monitoring that.
Yeah, and please note, we expect a lot of questions on this one today. So if you're asking a lot of questions, that's great. We know that AI is one of those things that I think probably the most questions I've gotten since I started working in digital marketing over a decade ago have been in the last 3 to 6 months and have been related to AI. So I expect a lot of questions, and we'll do our best to answer it. AI, as Cory will also attest to, is an ever-changing landscape, especially optimizing for AI right now. We know what we know. We know quite a bit, but we don't know everything. And if we don't have an answer to a question, please know that we will do our research and find the answer to the question for you, get back to you afterwards, just because, as mentioned, this is an ever-changing landscape. It's daily updates. But we're excited to be talking about it today. So a lot of what we're going to be talking today is the switch a little bit from focus on SEO to focus on GEO. SEO is not going away. We're not stopping the focus on SEO, but GEO is going to be a large part of what we're also focusing on going forward, as well as some of that overlap between SEO and GEO, because there is quite a bit, despite what you may see from a few people who are touting themselves as experts. For the most part, we're seeing a good deal of overlap between classic SEO and GEO. Few other things we'll talk about. We'll talk a little bit more about no-click searches, AI summaries, and then some focus on really what you can do to optimize for GEO. I'm sorry, Gina, go ahead.
Can you please define GEO for the room?
I can, yeah. GEO is Generative Engine Optimization, which is also, you'll hear it as AI optimization. You might hear it as LLM optimization, which is large language model optimization. But what we're talking about here primarily is optimizing for search, AI search engines like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini. So some of these major AI engines especially. And now I will shut up for a minute and let Cory talk.
Yeah. We're talking about GEO, AIO, AEO, whatever. There's so many different names. I don't think that we've really gotten a definitive name out of the industry yet, but we're working on it, I suppose. I think it's worth talking a little bit and refreshing about the basics of SEO first, because a lot of what makes good GEO is kind of building off of what we're seeing from good SEO. So what is SEO? Search engine optimization. We're optimizing your website to rank higher in search result pages. So classic Google, the 10 blue links, map pack, that sort of thing. There are a couple of components that go into good SEO, right? There's the technical side. So you want to make sure that your page is loading quickly, that the structure is legible, both for humans and for the search engine. And you also want to make sure that the website is optimized for mobile, because 55% or so of website searches or website traffic is coming in from mobile platforms. So you want to make sure that the website is easily navigatable on mobile platforms. Another aspect is on page. This is going to be the content side. This is where we look at stuff such as the keywords that we're using in the content to, try to rank for specific keywords in Google search. And then it's also some other things that you don't necessarily see unless you look inside the code. We're looking at meta tags, which are just metadata that go into images and like the meta description that you would see as like the little description that you see in the Google search results. And then things such as like header structure. You want to make sure that any sort of page of content on your website has a clear H1, H2, H3, like a very logical structure, which is important for search engines. And it's also good for the user. And then off page, we're looking at things like backlinks and authority. We have been seeing reports that backlinks are not as important as they used to be in terms of figuring out your search engine results. It is still somewhat important, but it's definitely not like the end all be all like it used to be. And then the content itself on the website. This is going to take the form of blog posts, FAQs, services pages, any sort of like additional resources, that sort of thing. The goal of SEO, you want to get organic traffic. So you're aiming to get clicks from Google search results or Bing search results or whatever search engine results to your website, so that people can view your content and then make a decision as to whether or not they're going to choose your business when they're shopping for your services. So an example being, let's take the example of a bakery, right? A bakery in Baltimore, any just like a generic bakery. For SEO, we would want them to rank in the number one spot or in the top three for specific keywords. So we're looking at things such as like best birthday cakes in Baltimore, birthday cakes near me. These can take the forms of short tail keywords. Short tail keywords, which are very generic and are very difficult to rank for, like just birthday cakes. Like it's very generic, and you're going to get search results that not only have bakeries, but also probably grocery stores and recipe pages and that sort of thing. And then long tail keywords, which are usually 3+ word, maybe 4+ word, long tail keywords, very specific, much easier to rank for. Best birthday cakes in Baltimore being the example for this bakery. So, GEO. What is the difference between SEO and GEO? So GEO, as we mentioned before, is trying to get a website to rank in answers that AI gives for search queries that is given to it. So it's important to, I guess, figure out why this is important, because you might think it's not really that big of a deal. But it actually is, because AI is quickly becoming adopted by the general public. It still doesn't hold a candle to what SEO or to what Google is getting every month for search queries, but it's increasing, and it's going to continue to increase. The big thing about AI answers is that the AI gives the answer, and the user doesn't have to go to your website in order to get the answer. So that creates an environment where you get the zero-click searches, right? And it's much more common on AI answers than it is on traditional search, right? So getting included in AI responses means that you get instant visibility with with whichever query that the user is giving. So what are we trying to focus in on with GEO? First is going to be the content. And the content is going to be very similar to what we are already doing for SEO, with one key caveat being the focus is going to be on answering user questions, because what we're seeing with AI searches is that they are much more conversational and they are much more likely to take the form of a question, which, like, for example, like, I'm hosting a birthday party in Baltimore and I need a birthday cake. What are some of the best birthday cake bakeries in Baltimore? So what we want to do is we want to focus in on areas where we can prove that this bakery has the best birthday cakes. So first off, the content. It needs to answer user questions. It needs to be structured, and it needs to be full of facts, because AI answers are heavily reliant on facts. I know that there's a lot of talk out there about hallucinations, and that definitely still happens, and it's an issue that we're seeing and we will probably continue to see. But the current AI models are definitely a lot better with not hallucinating than the older models did.
Cory, can you please explain hallucinate? I can't even say the word. That word. Because
Hallucinations.
Unless you're in the space, you probably the people in the room probably have no idea what you're talking about.
So the way that AI works is that it takes the data from its training, and it also takes the data from online to generate its answers. The AI is specifically trained to give authoritative answers all the time. And so as part of that, if the AI is unsure about the data, or it's getting conflicting data from the various authoritative sources that it's trying to give, what it essentially will do is make it up. Or it will say something that is factually untrue. Or another case that we're actually starting to kind of notice and is starting to be addressed by the industry is that the AI will take data that's old and doesn't represent your business anymore from whichever authoritative source and state it as authoritative. So that's another form of hallucinated data that you might see. You can think of like when AI overviews first came out in Google, and people were posting all sorts of crazy answers that AI mode was giving them for queries that just didn't make any sense. Like that's an extreme version of hallucination, but these days it's a lot more nuanced, and it's a little bit it's more important for us to address that sort of stuff. So
Cory, I'm going to interrupt you 1 second, because there are some clients in the room and I'd like to address the zero-click search. Coral, can you speak to what we're seeing specifically with our clients in terms of traffic? Because I think it's important to note that because we're seeing the zero-click search, you're going to see different results than you've seen in the past in terms of entrances to your website. And Cory, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
that's okay.
It's an important thing to address.
Yeah, I can do that. Also, Shayna, I did see your question, and we will definitely get to that here in a minute. So don't worry, I've got that up as well. So one thing that we're seeing a lot of when we're looking at analytics right now is traffic is down across the board for the most part. Our clients are seeing 15 to 20% drops over, month over month. A lot of our traffic is still up year over year in some cases, which is nice to see. Means that, the SEO is doing well. However, with the rise of GEO and the rise of these AI summaries, when you Google something, a lot of people are just Googling, reading the AI summary that pops up at the top. Like, for instance, with Cory's example, what is the best bakery in Baltimore? The AI summary is probably going to pop up at the top saying, some of the bakeries with the best star ratings in Baltimore include, and then it's going to list off 3 bakeries. It's going to tell you a little bit about them. A lot of people at that point look, they make the decision, they stop, they don't go any further as far as clicking. Now, if you're a bakery in Baltimore and you're listed in one of those, it doesn't mean that people aren't going to call you. It doesn't mean that people don't know that you're there. It doesn't mean they're not going to your social. It doesn't mean that they're not seeing you. It just means that there is a chance that they're not going to scroll down and click, and so you're going to see your traffic fall. Another thing that we're currently seeing that we're keeping an eye on in our analytics is in Google Search Console, where we see a lot of the keyword searches popping up, where visibility is getting higher for a lot of clients, but clicks are not following that visibility path, which could to us say that they're popping up in the AI overviews and that there's a chance that, they're cited in an AI overview when people are seeing them there, they're seeing the website, but they're not clicking through. We can't definitively say that 100%, but that is what the data is starting to point to. So we're keeping an eye on that as well. But the nature of analytics is changing, and the things that we're looking at are changing as the rise of GEO and AI happen. And along those lines, we also recently found out that Google is going to give us some tools. Ubersuggest is going to give us some tools that will allow us to track where people are coming up in AI overviews so that we will actually be able to see that and get a more definitive answer about what's happening there as well.
Yeah, and for our clients, Cory's already set up special filters in Google Analytics so we can actually see how much traffic is coming in from the AI resources. We have one client in particular who writes blogs every day, which he's a lawyer. I don't know how he does it, but he writes a blog every day and has for the past 8 years. I would say probably 20% of his traffic is coming in from the AI. And because of that, his traditional Google traffic is off by 20%. So I think you have to look at, okay, my traffic is off here, but is it on the rise there?
Yeah.
So it's you have to look at both pieces. If you look at one piece of it, it gets very discouraging. You have to look at both pieces of it. To the Q&A, Cory, you were talking about an FAQ page. Shayna asks, when you say facts, what exactly does that include? My services could be more of an opinion on an FAQ instead of facts.
Okay. So an FAQ is just going to be the questions that people that might take on your services could ask. And this can take a little bit of research, but there are tools out there such as Answer the Public and others that will allow you to get kind of good ideas as to what people are searching for in your when they search for your industry and what kind of questions that they're asking. And this is mostly tailored to Google search for now, but we anticipate that we'll see much more tools that will give us insights into what people are asking, AI tools in the future. And then when you have a list of these questions, then you go to your website, you make a page, and you answer them. And then one of the key components of this FAQ page is something that we call structured data or schema data, which is a metadata that goes into the code of your website that people don't see unless they look at the console, that is essentially tells these tools, Google search crawlers and AI tools, what the content is saying, and it formats it in a way that it understands. And so it makes it much more likely that when a query on Google or on AI is like related to that question is asked, there's a potential for you to be directly cited in the answer that it gives.
So how do generative search engines like ChatGPT actually decide which sources to reference?
So there are several different areas that it's going to look at. So first being the training data that it was given to, essentially as the basis. And this is kind of the only way that we saw answers being given in previous forms of AI tools like GPT-4. But these days now, almost every single one of the AI tools have access to search results and can search the web for answers. So we're also seeing things such as authoritative citations. So think of like your newspapers, your magazines, anything that sort of like gives rankings. We're looking at Yelp and Yelp reviews, Google reviews, which is another ranking factor for AI that we're seeing is customer sentiment in the form of reviews. And also the content on your website, which, as I mentioned, with FAQs, you could get directly cited in these answers, provided that the AI determines that your site is authoritative and is good for it. So,
Awesome.
Coral thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, Cory basically covered that one pretty strongly. So, yeah, I mean, the main thing is it's the more places that you're showing up, the more that you're doing, the more likely you are to be cited and things like this. It's going to be a matter of keeping yourself on social media, making sure that your citations are good, making sure that you are keeping up with your reviews. Basically, wherever your name is mentioned, whatever it's mentioned alongside is important to GEO. And so you're more likely to be cited and actually seen when you're showing up in more places.
Okay, keep going, but I've got a whole list of questions, so I don't want to derail you. Keep
Okay.
rolling through. Give it you've got a lot of small businesses in the room. So let's talk a little bit about, is this only for large companies or can small companies benefit? How can small companies benefit? Do they need to change their entire strategy, or is this a bolt-on to what they're already doing? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I can definitely start there. Resounding answer of is this only for large businesses is no. This definitely works well for small businesses, especially right now, while we're still in kind of the early stages of AI and you're not seeing paid ads in AI. You're not seeing, it's not so much pay to play the way that it is right now in Google, and a lot of social media as well. So I feel like AI gives us a really great starting point right now for small businesses while we're still in this, new phase of it. Especially if you're looking up, good bakeries in Baltimore, it's going to show up the ones that have good reviews, the ones that people are talking about on social. And a lot of those are going to be the smaller businesses, not these giant conglomerations. So small businesses have a really good shot here with AI, and it's not going to require you to change your whole model. It's going to require you to, as Gina put it, kind of bolt on what you're doing. So it's important to make sure that you are covering all of your bases and making sure that your SEO foundation is good. As Cory pointed out, SEO and GEO play well together. It's important to have really good SEO optimization to start with the GEO. And I think that, as far as that goes, you want to make sure that you have an FAQ page on your site because that is where it gets a lot of really good data. You want to make sure that you are asking people for reviews anytime you're giving services. You want to make sure that you're showing up more places because the more places, I know I sound like a broken record, the more places you're showing up and the more work that you're doing to get your name out there, the more likely AI is to see you alongside other brand mentions. Cory, do you want to take that a little bit too?
yeah, I mean, small businesses absolutely can benefit from GEO. I mean, think of all the local searches that users can make and ask an AI chatbot like ChatGPT. If you appear in those results, that's as good as an authoritative recommendation from somebody. So I think it's absolutely key for small businesses to take advantage of the growth of AI tools and the popularity of it. And yeah, as you mentioned, it's not necessarily a replacement for SEO. It's more of like an addition. A lot of the best practices for SEO apply to GEO. We only need to make some tweaks to the way that we're focusing the content strategy and make a few additions in order to really key it more for GEO. And I know probably one of the questions that people will have is like, what where do we start? And luckily, the answer is quite simple. Just ask AI what they think of your business. Like that's the coolest thing about this technology is that you can just go and ask it, hey, I run this company called Pink Dog Digital. What do you think about my company? And it will go and it will, scour the web and it will give you the information. And you can ask it follow-up questions like, what's the current customer sentiment for my business? And it's just so you can get so creative with what you're asking the tools about your business, and from there you gain a lot of insight into where you need to place your focus in order to try to improve those results. So, I would highly recommend just going on to ChatGPT or Google Gemini and just asking it, like,
Yeah.
what do you think about my business?
One of the
That's an
things that
excellent point.
we did that was cool alongside of that was ask ChatGPT what they think of our competitors.
Yeah.
And do comparison and contrast between the messaging about our company and about the competitor's company, and found that many of the competitors were talking about how long they had been around, but not what they were doing for other clients or for their clients. And so we were able to talk about experience, years in business, years in the industry, yada, 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 to combat their messaging, but then layer in customized programs, special program, all the things. And it gave us great intel into what they were saying and doing and being searched for versus us. Robin asks, does it matter if you show up in a lot of places, if you're not getting customer interactions or engagement? How does this help a local business that needs more local traffic? And that is right now, I think, kind of a question mark, because the way that AI is, and you guys can weigh in on this, I think that the more places you can be seen, the more authoritative you appear. And the interaction is great within the individual social channels, but is it necessarily directly impacting the benefits in the AI space for authority? Does that make sense? Cory, Coral, explain it in a language that isn't Gina speak.
Cory, you can take that.
Okay. So it's tough right now because AI is kind of a black box, and we don't have direct analytics from the AI tools themselves on, how many times your website is being cited and how often you're being seen in the search results for the different queries. But it's definitely going to have an impact because you're going to have more touch points for your brand. And so it's just as somebody is, making their research for your business, for the services that you provide and that sort of thing. We know that many buyers are using multiple methods of gathering information. They're going to Google search, they're going to ChatGPT, they're going to social, they're going to all these different platforms. So the more places that you have an opportunity to be seen, the more likely it is that they're going to end up choosing your business in the end. And that may not show up in your analytics, like that. You may not see a click from those kinds of searches. You may not see, you might see, impressions and visibility, but that doesn't mean that necessarily that the customer ended up choosing your business. But if they end up coming into your showroom or they end up making a phone call to your business, then that's as good as a conversion. So I think right now it's a problem of measurement, and I think that it's one that is going to definitely get better over time as we see more and more tools come out that can interface with these tools directly and give us the data that we so badly want.
Yep. And I think you have to go back to expertise, authority, and trustworthiness.
Yep.
even if, people are less inclined to engage with brands unless there's a compelling reason. Otherwise, they're going to read it and they're going to scroll through. There's just so many places for you to be seen that if people engaged with every place they saw your message, they'd have like cramps in their fingers from all the double taps. So I think it's about consistency and being in the places that your audiences are so that the algorithms can pick you up and put you in the feed rather than, are you going to get a viral moment? Probably not. The algorithms in social channels are such that organic social is challenging. So if you're not throwing some dollars to get your information seen by your natural brand advocates, you should consider it. But those citations are as important. The reviews are as important. The membership sites, Better Business Bureau, super lawyers, whatever. Matthew has a question.
I love Matthew's question. I would love to jump in on this one real quick. And I'm sure Cory would too. But Matthew asked, do you envision a future where showing up in AI answers turns into a pay-to-play proposition like sponsored results and Google searches? I have been thinking about this one a lot lately, which is kind of why I brought it up in the fact that it's not currently pay-to-play, because I love that about it. But as we've seen with social media, as we've seen with Google, as we've seen kind of across the board, things get monetized eventually. Eventually, everything is monetized because that's kind of, the culture that we have and the world that we live in right now. So I have a feeling, there's no way to say definitively one way or another which way this is going to go. But I have a feeling that eventually, there will probably be a sponsored area in AI. There will probably be somewhat pay to play. It will probably eventually show up that way, or you'll have ads on the right-hand side or something along those lines. Because that's just how things have, consistently shown themselves to work over the last couple of decades as we've been watching digital continue. I feel like ads are a little bit less intrusive than they used to be to a point, but they're still there. I don't foresee them going away. And I do think that eventually AI will probably adopt them as well. But interested to hear what Cory's thoughts are on this too.
Yeah, we already know that Google is working on implementing paid ads into AI mode. I'm not sure if they've actually directly tested with live audiences yet or not, but I know that they've mentioned it in their marketing keynote speeches about how they're working on it. And I mean, honestly, they'd be crazy not to, because it's their major cash cow, right? Like, their advertising represents a significant portion of their overall revenue. So, and this would be the same with ChatGPT, with Bing search, with Perplexity, with Claude. Like, the big money maker is going to be if companies can pay for to influence the search results in some way. So I would not be surprised. It's not a thing yet, thank God, but because it's as if we didn't have enough change already happening to keep up with. But it is definitely going to be coming down the road. So just be on the lookout for it.
Yep, for sure.
So, Cory and Coral, what are the easiest first steps a business can take to start with GEO? Because, is it the same as SEO? Do we have to change the way that we structure the content? Like, what can small businesses do to begin, whether they do it internally or whether they hire someone?
So talking a little bit about the content piece, especially, with restructuring content, I would say not necessarily as far as restructuring content goes. I mean, SEO for years it's always been helpful if you ask a question in a header. If one of the header, your H2 on a blog article is a question, and then you answer the question below. Google's always kind of loved that. It helps them really get a quick Q&A kind of answer thing. So a lot of the traditional SEO principles stick. So that's really where your starting point is. And then from there, doing a page like an FAQ page, which we've seen to be really successful in SEO and will likely be very successful in GEO, AIO, whatever you want to call it. it's a very successful tactic because it shows Google literally, here is the question the person is answering, here is the answer to the question the person is asking. And then you're going to see that as well a little bit in AI. So that's a big part of it. The other place that we're looking at really wanting to kind of get started with GEO was, as Cory said, a cool place to get started is in AI and asking it what it thinks, where your gaps are, what you can do, what your audience sentiment is, how you can improve that, things like that. So the main thing with GEO and getting started is keeping an eye. I think we talked a little bit about this with reviews in our last webinar, making sure that your reviews are out there and that you're keeping an eye on those reviews. Another place is social media, making sure that you're consistently posting there because it's going to pick up signals from there. And then, we're trying out a couple of tools and experimenting on some things on our end to see if we can make it easier for AI to actually find your information. So hopefully we'll have some more interesting data on that coming up soon too. Cory?
You took the words right out of my mouth. Ask AI directly what they think about your business, and then you can follow up from there with your competitors, figuring out where you need to improve. Ask it where you need to go to improve. It will give you all the answers that and what better place to go than the source, really. I mean, again, that's the coolest thing about AI as compared to SEO, is that SEO, you can't just go to Google search and type in, like, how do I get better at SEO? I mean, you can, and you'll get ideas, but it won't be personalized specifically for your website. But with AI, you can tell it to go to your website and figure it out, and it'll tell you. So.
And I think the other thing to note here is, those are, the basic things you can do that we've been doing. Our content's not dead. Content is going to be, it's going to continue to be important across channels, across your website, across social. Content isn't going anywhere. So at the moment, we're still looking at this and going, yes, create content, create authoritative content, create content that is going to ask and respond to questions that people are asking.
Yep.
So speaking of which, Shayna threw us up a softball here. For social media posts, should we also be doing common questions, answers in the posts, and address at the same time, just for shits and grins, links and where those should be placed on the different social platforms? Because I know that's a big controversy right now.
What do you mean where they should be placed exactly?
In the comments, in the first comment, in the post itself, should they link out? Because that impacts the algorithm, going back to Robin's question as to where this content is going to be seen in the social channel. So that was a big, big question.
Okay. So I'm going to start here. There's a couple things here. Whenever you're putting content on social media, having the photo is great. You want a photo with the FAQ in it kind of to garner interest and to get people to stop and look. But you also want to make sure that you are, if not the exact same wording, similar wording in the caption, because that is what the social media engines are reading, is the caption. They're not reading the photo. You can and should also alt tag your photos on social media so that they have that information. So if you're doing an FAQ, you should alt tag it as, a photo asking this question, put the question and with the answer and what the answer to the question is, because that's also going to give the social media engine an idea of what that post is about, which will help it better deliver to the audience. That being said, it's also going to help AI because AI is going to read text before it reads photos. It's going to see the photo. We like to have the photos. Social prefers that you have photos a lot of times, or not photos, but graphics. We've also found that once in a while, it's good to have questions on social that do not have the graphics because they're not there as often. So people do tend to stop a little bit more on those, but 90% of the time you want to have graphics. And then as far as links go, if you are linking to anything, do it in the first comment. We have been trying to move to that as much as possible. It can be a little bit challenging with scheduling systems because not all scheduling systems give you the first comment option. But when you can link in that first comment, it's better to do that than to link in the post, because there are times where, especially Facebook and LinkedIn, will push your post down if they see that you are linking away from the social platform. All that to say,
question about Q&A.
with this pertains to the Q&A. So if you're putting if you're putting a question and answer, do a graphic with the Q&A in it to get attention, but then make sure that you are addressing the Q&A in the caption as well. Great. That way it can more easily read it and address that Q&A in the, or make sure that you're explaining what the Q&A is in the alt tag for the social media post as well.
Just like adding transcripts to video so that the search engines can read the transcript instead of the search engine can't hear the video.
Yep. It's good for screen readers. It's also good just in general for metadata for the platform. And then some of the platforms that are ranking in Google now. So LinkedIn sometimes will rank in Google. Instagram is starting to show up in Google as well. So keeping that in mind.
I just read an article yesterday. Instagram, Reddit, and X are now going to be showing up in Google feeds. So if you're not posting to one of those platforms, you may consider what a good strategy looks like in those platforms. Cory, anything to add there?
Not really. I mean, the biggest point I was going to make was what Coral had already mentioned about making sure that you include text format, because AI tools tend to do better with text formats than they do with images. They can read images, but it's easier for them to do text.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit, Cory, about checking visibility in generative engines? What tools are out there? How often should we do it? How do we track it? And then somebody asked, what if something is wrong in the AI? How do we fix it? Can we fix it?
Okay. So really, as far as how often you should check, it really just depends on how much time you have, really. I mean, you could check every day if you wanted to, because these tools are constantly updating. My recommendation would be to check at least once a month, and then once a week if you can. What tools are out there? There are a lot now. The one that I've been using has been from mangools.com. It's mangools.com. It has a free AI visibility checker. You can put in your company name and your industry or your services, and then it will basically ask a bunch of AI tools queries related to those two, and it will come up with a number of your visibility. It's not perfect, I don't think, but it's a free tool, and it's something that you can use to at least get an idea. There are a lot of tools out there. Many of them are pay to play, and they are priced more for enterprise level use than for small and medium sized businesses. However, I do anticipate that in the very near future, we'll see tools that are much more friendly with the pricing for small businesses, and we'll be able to use those. I mean, we already saw, what was it, like last week or 2 weeks ago with the launch of Uber Suggests AI visibility features, and they're going to be adding more to that in the coming 2 months. So, yeah, it's definitely going to get a lot better here than it is at like right at this second. And then if AI tools say something incorrect about your brand, what do you do? Can you fix it? The answer is yes, you can fix it. You want to focus on getting your mentions correct in the authoritative citations where you're being cited. You can also utilize good customer reviews, because the information may be related to, what customers are saying about your business. So if you can counter that with good customer reviews on the places where AI is citing you, then that can counteract that. And you can tweak the website content to essentially like flip the question, or if there's like bad information out there, you can essentially flip the perspective and actually give the proper answer within the context of the wrong answer. And that should help to counteract it. And you should see results from this pretty quickly, at least relative to SEO. I know that there have been some instances where people will update their website and the AI answer will update within a few hours, which is crazy. I mean, that's so much faster than what we would see with SEO. So the good news is that if you do end up seeing incorrect information about your business in AI, it can be corrected pretty quickly.
So that took my next question, was how long does it typically see results from from GEO efforts compared to SEO? So again, another softball. Thank you.
All right. So just to kind of touch on a couple of the other things and kind of summarize what you need to be doing for GEO. And then I'll let Gina, pop in with any extra questions she has, or if anyone else from the audience has some questions, please feel free to pop them in there. But, so what we're looking at as far as optimizing for GEO, main thing is have that really great SEO starting point, have a good framework for that and a good foundation for that. And that's going to be a good start. Create consistently authoritative content that answers questions that people are asking in your industry. You want to make sure on the back end, and this is going to be a little bit more on the technical side, that you have the correct schema / structured data set up for your site. You want to make sure that you have specific metadata for everything. You want to make sure that your photos are alt tagged. The more of that you've got going on, the better. Make sure that you're kind of monitoring your AI visibility where you can, per the conversation we just had. And Uber Suggest is a tool that we really like here. It's affordable. It's a pretty good tool as far as, getting started in the SEO world, the GEO world, and just seeing what all of that looks like. And then making sure that you're showing up in an authoritative way alongside other brands. Your brand mentions are always good. Having quality reviews out there that talk about what your services are. So we're not talking about somebody just marking 5 stars and then walking away. We're talking marking 5 stars, saying, I had the best birthday cake ever. It was a red velvet cake. I loved it. Here's a picture of it on your reviews is also going to be really helpful. So encouraging people to leave detailed reviews with photos helps as well in the AI world. Basically, what you want to do is you want an all-around strategy to show up. So showing up is kind of the most critical part, and then making sure that that technical stuff is in place, whether you're doing that or you're having your website company take care of that for you. Cory, do you have anything else that you want to cover there as kind of a wrap up before we finish up with some FAQs?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the bottom line for GEO is that you want to make sure your business is authoritative and trustworthy. And as long as you can fulfill those criteria, you should see results. You should see more customers and business come in. We've seen already some clients tell us that they're getting customers who, when they ask, "Where did you see us?" they're saying, "Well, I saw you on ChatGPT," which is awesome. And that's the sort of thing that that's the real opportunity. We're seeing the explosive growth of these tools, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger.
So one of the things that I hear all the time in all the blogs that I read, and it drives me nuts because I know the answer, but is SEO dead? Do you think GEO is going to eventually replace SEO? And then a follow-up to that is, where is this going as generative engines become more advanced? And I realize that's a crystal ball question, but got to have it.
Yeah. So will SEO replace, or will GEO replace SEO? Short, medium term, absolutely not. Long term, it's hard to say. I don't think so. It really is going to depend on what Google does with AI mode and what users' sentiment regarding their trust in AI is over the next several years. But I anticipate that SEO is still going to be very important. Google still makes the vast majority of their revenue from ads and search. So they're not going to abandon that at all. So it's still going to be important to keep up with SEO. As far as how it's going to evolve, that like you mentioned, is very hard to say, and you have to kind of look into the crystal ball. But one thing that I would point out is that agentic AI is rapidly developing. So what do I mean by
Right.
agentic?
Yeah,
Yeah.
define.
So AI, right now, if you're thinking of AI tools as like ChatGPT, where you type in a question and it spits out an answer, and it's up to you to make the decisions after that. Agentic AI will be able to do those actions for you. So it will be able to send an email to a business, or it will be able to dial the phone number for you and get information, or you could ask it to book your airline tickets to your next vacation and it'll do that for you. So what does that mean? Well, I think that the natural thing is that you're going to want to make sure that your website is able to be essentially used by AI agents. So and we don't know exactly what that looks like yet, but as I mentioned, agentic is kind of in the beginning stages at the moment, and it's going to be coming down the pipeline. So when we see these becoming more and more popular and more used, we'll be able to get ideas and strategies in place to be able to make sure that your website is able to be navigated and interacted with by AI agents. And as far as what that looks like, I mean, just off the top of my head, just making sure that like your phone number is able to be clicked on your website, like that sort of thing is important. If you have like a reservation system or a booking system, making sure that that can be navigated by AI. That might be dependent on what your booking system, how it's set up and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's that's kind of what we're seeing, and as far as like anything far beyond the next year or two, it's very tough to say, but it's definitely exciting, and things are changing every day. So,
And would Google Assist be a good example of an AI agent currently?
yeah.
Okay.
ChatGPT also recently released agentic AI as well.
Awesome. Coral, any final thoughts? We've got 5 minutes left, and I want to respect people's time.
Yeah. As far as for my final thoughts, I really just think that getting AI to rank you is going to be very similar at the moment to getting SEO to rank you, getting search engines to rank you. It's a matter of that authoritativeness, trustworthiness, making sure that people are. I'm going to talk a little bit about reviews just because I feel like reviews also are a big part of this, because you'll see when you go and look in, if you do an AI search for anything, you'll see people often say that this brand does XYZ well. People often say that this brand doesn't do XYZ well. You'll see that even on Amazon right now. If you look at Amazon reviews and you scroll down towards the bottom before you even get to that whole review list, AI pulls out, this is what people like about it. This is what people don't like about it. And Google and ChatGPT are doing a lot of the same. So your reviews are going to be critical, making sure that those reviews are, well written, making sure that those reviews have a lot of information in them, details, photos. So yeah. Main thing is show up as many places as you can, do the work, or hire somebody to do the work for you, but make sure that you're showing up where you need to show up. Also, I wanted to say, real quick as we're wrapping up, if you have any requests as far as webinars go, any questions that you want answered, anything you want to see going forward, we are going to continue to do this on a monthly basis. I'd love to know what else you want us to cover. We're going to continue coming up with topics, but it always helps to have a little bit of audience feedback to know what you're looking for us to cover as well. So.
And the shameless plug, if you need help with SEO, GEO, online reputation management, including review generation and response, we are always here to help you, in addition to social media and website design and development. We will be back again next month with a new topic. If you have a request, as Coral said, please bring it to us. Otherwise, Cory, final thought?
Just that it's a very exciting time. I think it's very easy to kind of doom and gloom about AI and how it's affecting websites, but I think that it represents a golden opportunity. It's almost like it was at the onset of Google and the beginning of search. So we have strategies that we can utilize and get businesses seen on these tools, and yeah, I'm excited to see what comes next.
We're kicking down a brand new door and it's exciting.
Yep, absolutely. I think that's the thing that sets us apart from other agencies is that we stay ahead of what's happening, not jumping onto what's already in the process. So I appreciate my team and their enthusiasm for embracing new technology and new opportunities. We like to bring that to you. If you would like to have a conversation about this or any other digital topic, please feel free to reach out to me directly, Gina at pinkdogdigital and .com, and we can get a call or a virtual coffee or whatever scheduled. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate it. For those of you that are heading to Ocean's Calling, I will look forward to sharing a adult beverage with you at a great show. Hopefully the rain goes away. Otherwise, have a great and safe weekend. I hope that those of you that celebrated had a wonderful New Year. And I look forward to talking to all of you next month. Have a great day.
Thanks,
Bye,
everyone.
everybody.